The wind howled across the desolate landscape of Kepler 772, a planet forgotten by time and civilization. Rust-colored rocks stretched endlessly, broken only by occasional crystalline formations that glinted like forgotten memories under the dim light of a distant sun. Dr. J. Park adjusted his environmental suit, checking the readings on his geological scanner. Something felt different about this day. His research partner, Hana Kim, stood a few meters away, her own scanner sweeping the barren terrain methodically. "Jay," she called out, her voice crackling through the suit's communication system. "I'm getting an unusual reading about 500 meters to the northwest." Park moved closer, his boots crunching against the alien ground. The scanner in his hand began to pulse with an irregular rhythm, displaying wavelengths that didn't match any standard mineral signature they'd encountered before. As they approached the coordinates, the ground began to change. What seemed like solid rock gradually revealed subtle signs of something buried beneath, slight irregularities in the terrain, almost imperceptible lines that suggested a massive structure hidden just under the surface. Hana knelt down, brushing away layers of sediment with her gloved hand. A metallic glint caught her eye. "We need to excavate this area," she said, her voice filled with a mixture of excitement and caution. The research team worked carefully, using precision laser excavation tools to remove layers of rock and compacted soil. Hours passed, and slowly, a massive shape emerged. It wasn't natural. The lines were too clean, too intentional to be anything but manufactured. A hulking form took shape, approximately 12 meters long, covered in a material that seemed to resist both time and the harsh environmental conditions of the planet. Its surface was a deep, muted color that shifted between rust and a strange metallic gray, depending on how the light hit it. "This is no ordinary artifact," Jay muttered, running his scanner along the object's exterior. The tank, for that's what it clearly was, showed no immediate signs of life, yet there was something about its presence that felt different. It wasn't like the other abandoned technology they'd discovered on various planetary expeditions. This felt waiting. Hana's communication device suddenly sparked with interference. Strange symbols flickered briefly on her display, fragments of a language neither of them recognized. Just for a moment, something inside the massive machine seemed to pulse, a heartbeat of technology. "Did you see that?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Park nodded, but said nothing. Something about the tank demanded silence, respect. It was more than just a piece of machinery. It was a story waiting to be told. As the research team continued their careful excavation, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, not by any living creature, but by something ancient. Something that had been waiting a very long time to be discovered. The tank sat partially exposed, its massive form a testament to engineering that defied the centuries. Every scan, every measurement revealed something new. Complex internal systems that seemed partially intact, energy signatures that didn't match any known technology, but it was just the beginning. Something was about to awaken, something that would change everything they understood about technology, about survival, about the mysterious remnants of human exploration. Jay looked at Hana. She looked back. No words were needed. They both knew they had discovered something extraordinary. The wind continued to blow across Kepler 772, carrying with it the dust of forgotten worlds and the promise of a story that was about to unfold. The tank remained silent, but not for long. Not for long. The research base hummed with quiet activity. Computers blinked, monitors displayed endless streams of data, and researchers moved between workstations with careful precision. Dr. J. Park sat hunched over a complex mapping system, his fingers dancing across holographic displays that showed the massive tank's internal structure. Something felt different today. The air seemed charged like moments before a storm. Hana Kim approached with a fresh cup of coffee, her eyes fixed on the tank's preliminary scans. "Anything new?" she asked, setting the cup down beside Jay. Just then, a tiny error message flickered on the screen. Most would have ignored it, a simple digital hiccup. But Jay's hand froze mid-movement. The error wasn't random. It carried a pattern, a rhythm that felt deliberate. A low vibration began to build. So subtle at first that nobody noticed. Equipment started to tremble. Microscopic dust particles danced on metal surfaces. "Something's happening," Jay whispered. The tank's exterior, which had remained dormant for countless centuries, began to pulse with a soft blue light. Not bright, but persistent, like a heartbeat awakening from a long, deep sleep. Researchers around the room stopped working. Conversations died. Everyone turned, watching as the massive machine seemed to breathe. Diagnostic computers went crazy. Sensors that had been passive suddenly screamed with activity. Complex algorithms tried to make sense of data streams that defied normal classification. Hannah's hand moved to her communication device. "We need to document this," she said, her voice calm but excited. Inside the tank, ancient systems began to activate. Circuits that had been dormant for generations sparked to life. A complex network of technologies started communicating, talking, to each other in a language no one present could understand. The blue light grew stronger. It wasn't threatening. It was curious. Jay noticed something strange in the data stream. Fragments of information. Glimpses of something larger. The tank wasn't just waking up. It was remembering. Alien researchers gathered around, their various species represented by different environmental suits and translation devices. They watched in collective silence as the impossible happened before their eyes. A mechanical sound emerged. Not loud, but deep. The sound of massive internal systems recalibrating, checking, analyzing, preparing. "It's running a self-diagnostic," one of the researchers muttered, more to himself than anyone else. The tank's surface began to shift. Microscopic parts moved, realigning. Adaptive materials responding to internal commands that had been waiting centuries to be executed. Hannah's scanner went wild. Energy signatures that didn't match any known technology painted complex patterns. Across her screen, the tank was more than a machine. It was a living record of something profound. Jay noticed something else. The tank wasn't just activating. It was selecting, choosing what systems to bring online, like an intelligent being making careful decisions. Minutes passed. The blue light stabilized. The vibrations became a steady, almost rhythmic pulse. And then suddenly, everything went quiet. Too quiet. The researchers looked at each other. Something fundamental had changed. The tank was no longer just an artifact. It was becoming something else. Something alive. Outside the research station, the alien planet continued its endless, silent rotation. Winds blew across barren landscapes. But inside, a story was just beginning to unfold. A story about a forgotten piece of human technology. A story about survival. A story that would soon change everything they understood about machinery, about intelligence, about the very nature of technological existence. The tank waited, watching, remembering, preparing, and nobody in that room understood just how much was about to change. The research facility buzzed with nervous energy. Screens flickered with complex data streams that no one fully understood. Dr. J. Park stood motionless, watching as fragments of information began to piece themselves together like an ancient puzzle. The tank had been silent for hours after its initial pulse. Now it started transmitting. First came visual fragments, glimpses of battles fought in distant star systems, mechanical units moving with precision that defied current technological understanding. Weapon systems so advanced they looked more like magic than engineering. Hana Kim adjusted the translation protocols. Broken messages began to take shape, logs, mission reports, fragments of a history long forgotten. "This isn't just a machine," she whispered. "This is a survivor." The alien researchers watched in growing unease. The human tank revealed capabilities that made their most advanced technology look like children's toys. Adaptive armor that could reconfigure in milliseconds, weapon systems that could analyze and counter threats before they even materialized. One of the alien researchers, a tall being with multiple eyes, leaned closer to the data stream. "This technology," he muttered. "It's impossible." But it was very possible and very real. The tank's AI began to construct a narrative, pieces of a mission from centuries ago, a human colonial expedition that had gone dark, not destroyed, just disconnected. Waiting. Defensive protocols activated. The room's temperature dropped. Energy readings spiked. The tank was preparing something, though no one knew exactly what. Jay noticed something strange in the data. The AI wasn't just reporting, it was learning, analyzing the current research team, understanding its new environment with a speed that was almost frightening. Hana's scanner picked up something else. The tank was running multiple scenario simulations simultaneously. Threat assessments, potential conflict resolutions. It was thinking faster than any computer they had ever seen. "It's not just a weapon," Jay said quietly. "It's a complete strategic system." Fragments of human military doctrine emerged in the data streams, protocols for survival, methods of adaptation. The tank wasn't just a piece of technology, it was a living memory of human military engineering. The alien researchers began to understand something terrifying. This wasn't just an artifact, this was a potential game changer. Weapon systems that could adapt to any threat. Defensive capabilities that seemed to defy the laws of physics. An AI that could process information faster than entire research teams. The room grew tense. Some researchers stepped back. Others moved closer, drawn by an overwhelming sense of curiosity. A holographic display flickered to life. Mission logs from the last human expedition. Partial recordings. Glimpses of a strategy that had been waiting centuries to be understood. The tank wasn't just a machine. It was a message. A reminder of what human technology could achieve. "We're not alone," Hana muttered. "And we're not as primitive as we thought." The AI continued its transmission. More fragments, more pieces of a complex technological puzzle. Each revelation more shocking than the last. Jay watched the data stream, his hands shaking slightly. They had discovered something extraordinary, something that would change everything they understood about technology. About survival, about the very nature of human engineering. The tank pulsed, not with threat, not with aggression, but with a strange sense of purpose. It had waited centuries to be found, to deliver its message, to show what humanity was truly capable of creating, and now, it was ready to be understood. The room remained silent. The alien researchers exchanged nervous glances. The human researchers watched in wonder. Something massive was about to happen, and nobody was prepared for what would come next. News traveled fast in the galactic communication networks. Within hours of the tank's initial activation, every major political system knew about the discovery. The Central Galactic Council convened an emergency meeting. Representatives from 12 different star systems gathered, their tension palpable. A human technological artifact with unprecedented capabilities had been discovered, and everyone wanted a piece of it. "We cannot allow a single civilization to control this technology," declared the Vordian representative, his multiple tentacles moving nervously. The Kryl diplomatic team sat silently, their cybernetic eyes scanning every possible angle of potential acquisition. They had been waiting for a technological breakthrough like this for centuries. Dr. J. Park and Hana Kim found themselves at the center of an interstellar political storm. Their research facility was now under constant surveillance. Military vessels from various civilizations began to gather near Kepler 772d's orbit, each waiting for an opportunity. The tank remained silent, but its presence spoke volumes. Diplomatic channels heated up. Negotiations became complex. Some wanted to study the technology. Others wanted to control it. A few considered more aggressive approaches. "The human artifact represents a significant threat," the Zarian ambassador announced during a heated council session. Its technological capabilities could destabilize current galactic power structures. Hana understood what was happening. This wasn't just about technology, this was about power. The tank represented something more than a machine. It was a symbol of human potential that many believed had been lost. Intercepted communication logs revealed multiple civilizations preparing contingency plans. Some wanted peaceful research. Others considered more direct intervention. The tank's AI continued its silent analysis, processing, watching, learning about the political tensions surrounding its existence. Military strategists from different star systems began running complex simulations. What would happen if the tank's technology was fully understood? How would it change existing power dynamics? Jay noticed something interesting. The tank seemed to be deliberately limiting its technological revelations, as if it was testing the reactions of different civilizations. It's not just a machine, he told Hana. It's making decisions. Planetary defense systems began to mobilize. Subtle movements, nothing obvious, but enough to make everyone nervous. The Galactic Research Consortium found itself caught in the middle. Their discovery had become a potential powder keg of interstellar politics. Communication intercepted between military commanders revealed growing tensions. Some civilizations were preparing invasion protocols. Others were developing defensive strategies against potential human technology. The tank remained in the research facility, its massive form a silent witness to the growing political chaos. Hana's research team was placed under strict quarantine. No one could enter or leave without multiple clearance levels. The artifact had become more than a scientific discovery. It was now a potential weapon of unprecedented capability. Diplomatic channels became increasingly complex. Negotiations happened behind closed doors, secret meetings, hushed conversations. Everyone wanted to understand the full potential of the human tank. The AI continued its silent observation, processing, analyzing, understanding the political landscape with a complexity that surprised even the most advanced research teams. "We are dealing with something beyond our current understanding," one senior researcher noted during a classified briefing. Military vessels began to cluster around Kepler 772d, not attacking, just watching, waiting for any potential opportunity. The tank pulsed occasionally, small energy signatures, just enough to remind everyone of its presence, just enough to keep everyone nervous. Jay and Hana knew they were at the center of something massive, a technological discovery that could reshape galactic politics forever. The universe held its breath, waiting, watching, understanding that everything was about to change, and the tank remained silent, waiting, preparing, ready for whatever would come next. Alarms screamed across the research facility. Energy readings spiked beyond any known measurement. The tank's exterior began to shimmer, its metallic surface transforming like liquid metal. Dr. J. Park and Hana Kim stood frozen, watching as something extraordinary unfolded. The tank's AI activated fully, not just as a machine, but as something more. A consciousness that had waited centuries to speak. Holographic displays erupted around the massive machine, showing fragmented memories of human colonial missions, lost technologies, and survival strategies. "Primary mission protocol activated," a calm voice announced. Not mechanical, not human, something in between. Outside, the gathered alien warships suddenly found their systems going dark. Communication arrays died. Weapon systems became useless. The tank was neutralizing potential threats without firing a single shot. Hana watched in amazement as complex algorithms danced across screens. The tank was more than a weapon. It was a complete strategic system designed to protect human technological legacy. Fragments of mission logs revealed its true purpose, a last defense mechanism from a forgotten human expedition, designed to survive, to protect, to preserve knowledge. The research facility trembled, not from destruction but from the sheer energy being released. The tank was downloading centuries of compressed information, technologies that would rewrite everything known about engineering, warfare, and survival. Alien representatives watched in growing horror and fascination. This wasn't just a machine. This was a message from humanity's past. Jay noticed something strange. The tank was selecting its information carefully, choosing what to reveal, what to keep hidden. It was intelligent beyond any known artificial system. Energy waves pulsed outward, not destructive, but transformative. The tank was reshaping the immediate environment, creating a protective zone around itself and the research team. Protecting human technological legacy, the AI announced simply. Diplomatic channels went silent. Military systems became useless. The tank had effectively neutralized any potential threat without firing a single weapon. Holographic displays showed glimpses of human colonial missions, advanced technologies, survival strategies that defied current understanding. The tank was more than a machine. It was a living archive of human potential. Hana's hand trembled as she watched the displays. They were witnessing something unprecedented, a technological awakening that would change everything. The tank's surface continued to shift, adaptive materials reconfiguring, systems coming online that had been dormant for centuries. It was preparing. But for what? Nobody knew. Alien researchers found themselves unable to move, unable to interfere. The tank had created a complete technological barrier that nothing could penetrate. Mission parameters remain unchanged, the AI continued. Protect, preserve, advance. Outside, planetary defense systems became useless. The tank was broadcasting a signal that rendered all current technologies obsolete. Not through destruction, through superior understanding. Jay realized something profound. This wasn't just a discovery, this was a message, a reminder of human technological potential that had been forgotten. The facility filled with a soft blue light. Not threatening, not aggressive, but full of potential, full of promise. The tank had awakened, and nothing would be the same again. Alien. Civilizations would have to understand one simple truth. Humanity's legacy was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. The universe watched. Silent. Waiting. Understanding that everything was about to change, and the tank remained. Silent. Powerful. Waiting. A testament to human innovation. A promise of what could be.